Hello and welcome to the desk here on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Nigeria's Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, has proposed the adoption of a 12-year basic education, 4-year tertiary education model in Nigeria. The minister made the proposal at the 2025 Extraordinary National Council of Education, which was held in Abuja. Of course, that proposal sparked a lot of reactions in the country, where we saw parents saying that they would not want to subscribe to some of these. Educationists, on the other hand, came out to speak on what they think. But again, the conversation today is not about the proposal by the Minister of Education, but rather looking at the generality of our educational system and what we call a learning method in the country. Could it be that it is due to the fact that a lot of people cannot unlearn and relearn that is the challenge? Or there's something that we're getting wrong in our general educational system? Joining me to talk about the educational systems in Nigeria and its generality is Dr. Emmanuel Akoni, and we'll be talking generally, and from there we take the conversation to the next level. But first, you are welcome to the desk, Dr. Emmanuel Akoni.
Thank you. Good day to you.
All right, thank you so much. So, basically, what do you make of the Nigerian educational system as it stands right now?
Well, I think I don't want to fault the government too much. I think they are trying their best, and they also have a positive mind to ensure that things are better than what they used to be. That being said, there's a lot we have to do. There's something that gets me worried when it comes to our education: global competitiveness. I get worried. I ask myself, if I stepped out of this climb, can I compete it successfully with those who have had the same education pathway, just like I have had? And that's a challenge. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things are changing. So I said in one of the discussions some time ago, I asked an individual about the courses they study. I'm trying to do a comparison with those who graduated 5 years ago and those who just graduated this year. And there isn't much difference. We are still running the same curriculum. For me, what should be looked into is the curriculum, because it's a curriculum that's birthed those who are coming out of school. And sometimes when we say they are not employable, when we say they are not doing well, it's a product of where they are coming from. I have a very, very, very shocking experience when I had my IT in one of the organizations here in Abuja. There's quite a number of us there, but I was picked for one reason or the other to do a trip with them. The trip was tagged EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment. And we went to some very big industries in Nigeria. And at that point, everything I had learned in school looked like a waste. I'd learned the manual way of calculating, titrating, and doing all that stuff. I got to the industry, I discovered they just needed to impute figures in machine. The graph is plotted. Everything they need to do is done. And this is my course of study, biochemistry. So I was like, in fact, when I got to the hotel, I had to speak with one of my boss to say, sir, because I'm an IT student, I said, do you think I'm even studying the right course? Do you think if I graduate from school, I'm employable? I have learned all that is being done here, but I learned them manually. Now I'm here, everything is being done with electronic, and I don't even know anything about it. So that's the challenge with our education. The curriculum needs to be looked into. A lot of things have to be scrapped, and new things have to come on board so that people can compete globally, and people can come out and they can do a lot of things themselves without anybody having to tailor it. If you check with a lot of parents, their complaint isn't not even about the numbers here. It's about the curriculum that has stayed for more than a century and nothing has really changed.
So what you're saying right now about the curriculum and some of the things that you've mentioned, is this just Africa, just Nigeria, or Africa in general?
Well, generally in Africa, but if you look at some other countries in Africa, a lot of changes are happening. And I mean, we are called the giant of Africa. I think it should start with us. But with the picture of things, it looks like we are even behind. And that's what everybody wants government to give attention to. Look at what we are being given this, what we dish out to these students in school. When they come out, why do they behave the way they behave? I have an Indian lecturer who once challenged me. He said, Nigerians, we are just interested in the paper, the certificate, and the certificate will not give us anything. You see, that's what we are talking about, because that is what we have, garbage in, garbage out. So the government should look into the curriculum and look at what is relevant. Some universities are already bringing some courses in artificial intelligence, robotics, and those are the things we should look at, things that when people get out of school, it makes them relevant to the society, not when they come out of school again, you need to now begin to learn a lot of things. You go for interview in an industry, everything they are doing is new to you for the first time. No. That's what we should give attention to.
Okay, all right, but we have even in government agencies where there are a lot of trainings and retraining, we saw how much has been earmarked for in this year's budget to train teachers. Don't you think that if trainings also happen within the educational, they train the trainers, the policies, won't it help to improve the educational system? Or you want a total overhauling of, or you're proposing a total overhauling of the entire curriculums?
Yes, I'm proposing a total hauling. That's one. And when you talk about train the trainer as well, it's a good way to go anyway. But then the question you want to ask yourself is, so how do you measure the impact of those training that has been done? You need to find a way of measuring the impact. You see, there's something about the corporate world that I love. If an organization is spending money on you to send you for a training, they are waiting for a feedback. They are waiting to see what you're going to do with that training along the course of work. So that's what government will do. Yeah, government will spend money training people, but what are the measures set in place to ensure that this training that were done are actually productive and actually impacting the society as expected? Most times what I've seen is there's a design for a training, but there's no survey to check the impact of the training. There's no feedback system. And those are the things we should look into before we even roll out training.
Some people have said that the Nigerian educational system is one system where you go in with an expectation of coming out to become a millionaire. But when you come out after your NYC, you'll be more disappointed than where you went in. But how correct is this?
Correct. I just shared with you my experience. Anyway, maybe I need to make it clearer. So where I went then was I went to the refineries, and I went to various departments, the one that concerns me. And there was nothing I could do, because everything that I had learned in school, I learned them manually, but they had machines already where they just need to put in figures and it gives them the results. And I had to ask my boss then that, sir, do you think if I graduate from school, I can work in this place? Everything I saw here, I'm seeing them for the first time. Good. We had IT to have that experience. If I had not gone for IT, I probably wouldn't have known. I would just come out and be looking like, oh, what are they doing? Are they performing magic? So it's the same question you have raised, and it's going back to what I have said before, that, look, we need a change of curriculum to be able to get people to come out of school and be productive. What we have now, honestly, if you have seen any graduate who seems to be very, very productive, go and check. There's a lot of extra work that was done by the individual. That's why they can be productive. But if it's just what we're given in school, read manual, you read handouts, and do study and just go, no, that's not going to bring any change to society.
So if we want to give ourselves a time frame to succeed within overhauling the system, you've said that we've been able to exhaust what we have right now for over a century. If we introduce new policies right now, what time frame, how would the time frame look like for us to succeed and begin to effect the kind of changes that we need?
Good. So the education experts who drive our policies can set a line. If you recall, some years ago, we used to have the Millennium Goals, the 2020 Goals, 2030 Goals, and all those. We can set a time. The next 10 years, this is what we are driving at. And this is what countries who have had successes have done. The next 10 years, we are changing some of this. We are going to change this curriculum. We are going to bring in this. And for the next 10 years, we are going to see what it gives us. And at 10 years exactly, we begin to measure, we begin to do a survey, send out survey, engage people. Those who started school at the time We had rolled out these new programs, who are now 10 years in the program. What's their life looking at? What are their contributions to society? How have they been impacting their various places of work? Once we do that, that is going to help us. 10 years timeline is not too bad. After 10 years, we can do a review. When you are doing that review, you're going to take off some things, you are going to bring in new things, and that's what we're expected to do. Usually in the university, you have 5 years to be in the university. For some courses, maybe 7 or 8 years. So we can have that 10-year set line. 5 years, somebody is done in the university, having learned the new courses that are introduced. Another 5 years, you look at how the person lives in the society, and then you can conclusively say, this is good, this is not good for us.
But are we ready for that kind of
we are giant of Africa. What's delaying us? We have all the resources. We are ready. What's the big deal?
It doesn't seem as though we're ready, even talking about some of the, because if people are already frowning at the fact that the 12 years proposed educational system by the minister, which is almost the same thing with what you have as a 6334, they are frowning at it, and now you're saying that they need to do overhauling and all of those policies need to be looked at. We need to start checking after 10 years, have to do a review. You don't think at this point, again, people will come out to say, no, you want to disrupt a system that is trying to grow like a child?
The fact remains that we cannot all sleep and put our heads in one side. We will not all agree on a point. There will always be some level of disagreements. People will see this because we are seeing things from different sides of the world. And we need to look at countries who have done well with some of these policies. What are the things they do? What are the measures they took? Of course, there were a lot of dragging arguments about it, but the boldness of the government, the willingness to see change as expected, makes them put in the policy and drives it. And after a while, they saw changes. So for me, there's nothing delaying us. Put it, and then let's look at the 10 years we're looking at. Let's see what happens after 10 years. If it's not going to be favorable, before it gets to 10 years, you will have known. If it's going to do it, before you get to 10 years, you will see some positive traction that will tell you, okay, let's sustain this. You know, my challenge is, even if this government is saying we are going to go this way, are you sure that when the next government comes, they are going to sustain it? The greatest of our challenge is sustainability of our policies. Another government will come and say, no, this is not, no, we need to open the border now. Those are the things that have kept us where we are today in Nigeria. We don't sustain our policy. Another government comes and changes, another Minister of Education comes and says, no, we don't need this, this has cost us too much. So if, like I said, if we are going on 10 years journey, we know that this is a 10-year plan. No government comes and says, we are throwing it, we are starting again. That's where our challenge is. If we want to do it, we can do it, if we are ready.
So, Dr. Emmanuel, people have said, it's a speculation generally, that our educational system can grow beyond what it is right now. But due to the fact that teachers, even from primary to universities, lecturers, are not ready for the system to grow, that's why we are where we are. How correct is this? Okay, good. Now, we need to put ourselves in the shoe of people to understand their status and what they go through. A teacher that is barely struggling to survive, to take care of himself and his family, what is the level of productivity you expect from him when he gets to the class? At least to a maximum to what he has been paid to deliver. How much are you paying him? I'm talking about people who are already struggling and you want them to give the best. Nobody gives his or her best when he or she is struggling. So the challenge is, when you look at the welfare of some of these teachers, a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are practically living from hand to mouth. A lot of them are on loans. A lot of them are owing loan app and all of those stuff. So when money even comes into their hand, they are paying debts. How much productivity do you want to get from them in taking care of our children? And you know what amazes me? We spend money on infrastructure in some of these schools, but we forget the welfare of those teachers. So if we are going to have any positive change, let us look at the welfare of those teachers. When we were growing up some years ago, they are usually boarding school. The teachers are in the school with you. They don't have to go around. They don't have to do any extra thing. If they are doing any extra business, maybe farming. So if you are a student, you are struggling with any of your subjects, you can actually meet them at the closing time. You can go to their house. They have all the time. They give you all the attention. That's the concept of boarding school. Attention. They give you all the attention you needed. And then you discover a lot of students who pass, most of our leaders today, passed through some of those boarding schools, and they came out brilliant. So if teachers are struggling on their own just to keep their life or to keep up with life,
how much productivity do you think you want to get from those teachers? It's not possible.
Interesting conversation. So, right now you're saying that the teachers are not getting enough compensation.
I can see that.
But who is to be blamed in this regard? At least as a teacher, they should be able to get multiple sources of income. They've taught for a while. These write textbooks, do public tutorials. Why teachers in Nigeria are not even thinking along this line?
Okay, good. So the reason why I applied to a school to be a teacher is because I've gone out and don't get any job. And that's the only available.
So most likely you're saying right now that most people that apply to be teachers in most of these schools is lack of employment.
I tell you this, most schools, they will tell you, look, after I've gone around, I don't find any place. I saw an advert for teachers, I applied. That's why you find most people who are even in our schools don't even have education background. People just bring them into the school, and then, I mean, I've been to a lot of schools, I've seen a lot of persons, and even from the approach, you will know that this person is not passionate about this. And for teachers who are passionate about it, you will see it in them. You see how they get the student, talk to them. You see how some of them will call you and say, oh, I noticed this in your child. Please, you can help us talk to him, but be patient. We know it's going to change. Those are people who are passionate, who want to do it. But a lot of those who are in it today, it's because they didn't get the job they are looking for, and that is the only thing available, so they go into it and just do what they like. Unfortunately, when they even go into it and they are now not even well compensated, it's even make it more worse that they can't give the best of their attention to the students in their classes.
And they still cannot diversify.
Well, some don't even have that instinct of saying, okay, let me diversify. Some just believe everything I'm going to do has to be from my salary.
So if a teacher is teaching a pupil and expecting them to metamorphose into what he or she envisage and see them to be, and the teacher is not ready to grow and diversify, can we have a prosperous nation in this regard?
We can't have, because where a leader grows, followers grow. You don't lead from behind. If the teacher is not growing, how do you expect the children to grow? It is teacher that will challenge the students to grow. So if they are not growing, if they are not working on developing themselves, exposing themselves to current trainings, then you don't expect anything from the children. But if a teacher desires to grow, has a mind of growing and expanding, I bet you will see the same thing in the student. The student will also take after their teachers. You know why a lot of us don't like mathematics? Check it. It's because of the teacher that took mathematics when we were in school. There was no passion in teaching, nothing. You can't meet the teacher after class and say something. Some of the things that were explained, when you ask too much, you are being punished. Check most students who tell you, I don't like physics, I don't like biology. And check some students who tell you, no, I just love economics. If I want to be an economist, check it. The teacher that took economics in school was very friendly, was passionate about the subject. And for those who love mathematics, those who love further maths, check it. The teacher that taught those courses were passionate about it and were really interested in the growth of those students. Some go as far as studying about the psychology of children just to be able to handle children. Those are the extra things that teachers need to do to make them more effective. But if a teacher is not doing this, don't expect anything. And of course, if the teacher is not growing, you don't expect the children to grow.
This is very interesting. So we can't talk to the government to help teachers to diversify, even at this point?
Well, you see, the issue of diversification is relative. So diversifying into what now? Diversifying to improving themselves, or diversifying into doing something entirely different from
like a side hustle, if you permit.
So that's where I'm going. So the thing is, for side hustle, which I've been talking about, even if you want to do well in side hustle, you do excellently well doing it within your value chain. Now, as a teacher, your side hustle will now be not just to teach your students in the school, but after school, you have extramural classes where a token is paid to you to have those classes. That's a meaningful diversification. That's an excellent diversification, because that will make you know the children more. And that will also make, something you do more, you get more expertise in it. You get to understand it more. So after school, you have children you are taking, and a token is coming to your account. I mean, you can't be having a token in your account and you are looking sad or you are looking dummy. And because you know they are going to pay you for what you are doing, you also want to give the children the best. So when we talk about diversification, effective diversification or side hustle is that which happens within your value chain. Like for a banker now, we've talked more about teacher. For a banker can also be a baker. You have colleagues in the bank who wants to have wedding ceremony. You have those of them who want to have a birthday ceremony. You have those of them who want to have burial and all kinds. You can be the baker. You can be the event manager. And most events don't happen on a Sunday morning where you should be in the banking hall. Most events don't happen on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning where you should be in the banking hall. They happen most times on Friday, on Saturday, where you as a banker can actually take time off and then do it, and you get paid for it. It doesn't have anything to do with your work. It doesn't disturb anything. It doesn't stop your workflow. You get back to work on Monday and you are fine. So those are the diversification we are talking about, where you diversify within your value chain and something that you've always been passionate about. Okay? So it's not that we like ideas. The challenge is the willingness to act on those ideas. That is where the challenge is.
So you're saying right now that idea is not the problem.
Yes.
But the willingness. But let's return a bit back to the educational sector, because parents out there that are watching us will want to even hear from this perspective right now. You've mentioned the fact that a lot of teachers can only diversify within their comfort zone, that is their area of specialization, like you've rightly said. So in this case, where the area of specialization is not paying or bringing enough food on the table, what should teachers do to be able to motivate them to get to their next height? Okay,
so that's where we talk about hard work. Success is not something you go and pick on the road. Success is something you have to really work for. If where you are is not giving you much, then you sit down and ask yourself, what can I do extra? There's a lot of lesson that came across our way during the pandemic. And for me, I will always want everybody in Nigeria across the world to reflect on that time. One of the critical lessons of that period is that we saw that we can actually do without much. That's one lesson that pandemic taught us. Before, we used to think we need all the shoes, all the bags, all the outing. Pandemic taught us that no, with little, you can do much. So, for every teacher who is probably not getting as much, sit down and ask yourself, what can I do with this little? The thing is, it's not zero. Like you said, it's not zero. Something is still coming forth. So what can you do in addition to what is coming? The moment you're able to sit down and think, something will jump at you that you can do. And that's why I talk about the concept of extramural lesson. What does it cost you to organize extramural lesson in your school? Nothing. All it costs you is your time.
But most of the schools don't even give these teachers the time. Most of these private schools that we have around, they close as late as 5 p.m. And when they even close, we've seen the teachers complain also to a very large extent also, that this school would tell them that they assign them particular students to have extra moral lessons with that they are paying directly to the school. This money don't come directly to the teachers. In such a case where teachers are frustrated, in this case, how can they even cope?
I think for schools that are doing that, they are not fair to the teachers. I have children in school. They take extramural lesson in school. By 3:30, 4, they are back home. The teachers have gone. So the question I ask some of those teachers is, between that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., what do you do extra? Fridays, every school close early and go back home. What do you do with those time? On weekends, what do you do? I have a music teacher that has a lot of students aside school time. He teaches them music, sometimes even in the school. So for schools that have those kind of system where you leave the school 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., I think those schools are not fair, and I think the government should do something about it. People should have the time they get to work, and there should be a scheduled time that they can live for work and have their own life. The fact that your teaching is not in a school does not mean that you won't have your own life to live. So if a school is making it difficult for you to have your own life to live, then you need to check out of that school and look at another school. But I know that quite a number of schools in Abuja have brilliant systems where teachers can go and have other classes if they do so. The most important thing for the employer or those schools is that they want the teacher to be committed to the school. We don't want to say, because you are now having engagement with all the students outside school hour, you now not give attention to the children you are originally being paid by school to give attention to. That's the challenge. But if you're able to strike a balance, work-life balance, like we say, if you're able to strike a balance, it is not a problem. And like I said again, if there are schools like that, I think the government should take that up. It's not fair on the teacher.
So speaking about reverse kind of learning, which we've had teachers that have written the teachers' exams in Kaduna during the time of El Rufai, and we saw what played out during their results. We've seen that happen in various states. Even Akwa Ibom State have done that. Abia State and some other states set exams periodically for their teachers to test them. But we've come to realize again that it is usually very difficult to get. It's like putting a needle in the eye of a camel to get a teacher to outgrow what they already know. So over time, they become a lexicon and become an authority in a field. Even in the university, it is difficult to tell a lecturer about a new theory, about a new practice, a new way, an approach to do things. But with all of this, is it that it is difficult for those in the position of dispatching knowledge to be able to also inculcate knowledge into them?
Okay, so thank you. You know, for us as human, one of the challenges we have is change. A lot of us, we tend to resist change because, I mean, you are used to this time of life for over 10 years. This is something you've been doing. I have a geography teacher. If he comes to class, he doesn't come with a book. We just pick a topic and he flows, you know, because he's done that over 10 years, over 15 years. So one of the things that people resist is changes. When you want to bring change into a system, you have a lot of resistance. And so when you have that, what you do is you don't put the people out, throw them out and say, no. Continue training. It takes time. It's like a seed. It takes time to grow. When you train people and they show resistance at first start, it doesn't mean you will not continue the training. A private organization where they take things serious will not say because we have trained you are not changing. No. They give you time. You keep training. You keep doing the retraining until after a time you begin to make adjustments. Adjustment is not something that happens in a day. Adjustment takes time. Adjustments happen gradually. Countries that have done well with the educational system, go and check it. They didn't start that way yesterday. It took them time too. So for teachers or for lecturers who have those kind of struggle, just keep at the training. With time, they will adjust to the system and a lot of them begin to do well. But I can bet you that at the initial stage, it can be very, very tough. Very, very tough to get people to change. But I bet you over time, people will begin to do well. And they will also see the benefit and how it impacts their own life as well.
Even for teachers?
Yes, even for teachers. They will see how it has helped them. Because the training you are doing is also going to improve them. You are not training somebody only because of the system. For every training you do for a person, it's not only because of the system. The person also gets value from the training at whatever level. If you are training me to be a better footballer now as a coach, of course, when I start doing it, people say, oh, that's a coach that training. But I also have improved in my skill. So it's also improved them. So that's why it's not something that once you get frustrated, but it's something you should keep at it. And after a time, people will adjust.
But you agree with me that it's very difficult for teachers to change.
It's very difficult.
It is very difficult to move out of that circle.
Exactly, yes.
It's
like taking somebody out of his or a comfort zone.
And it has even led to a situation whereby some people will even tell you that at this point in time, to your tent, O Israel, leave me to what I know and do what you know, and let us be at peace even at that point. But then we're even talking about looking at all of this. Is it that expensive to move from where a teacher is? I'll give a clear example. Way back in the university, or let me not say way back in the university, in some universities, a lecturer comes into the class and gives you a particular course and particular topic, and you tell you to go back and read, and you see those same topics in exam, and you write from your own angle of that story. Some lecturers will literally fail you because you're giving him a new opinion on different from what he has taught. One would have thought that knowledge would have challenged the lecturer to want to say, okay, I like the angle this person is coming from, so let's going forward, let me even look at this angle. But then you get punished for going the other way around. There is no form of, that's why we lack innovation and creativity even within our educational system. In this regards, where teachers are not ready to move, students are being punished for going above what has been taught in classroom. With such a scenario, do you think an African as a continent can evolve in the nearest future?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, just like we were saying, so for students who go extra mile to do research on a particular topic and probably gives the lecturer something that has more quality.
The lecturer will say you're giving them assignments.
Yes.
You're punishing the lecturer.
Yes, or you're punishing the
You're
lecturer.
stressing him.
So to say, the thing is, like I've said before, for a student that is going that extra mile, yeah, the lecturer might challenge you, some other things, issues, you might have issues with the lecturer because of your style or your pattern of study. But I bet you that student cannot graduate out of that school and then is the same level with his colleagues. No. That inquisitive mind, that researchable, or that mind of carrying out research or doing further study on a particular course that student has, that same mindset is going to take it to wherever he gets a job and he will do better. You know, there's a philosophy in the Southwest that says when somebody punishes you, the punishment is not to your detriment. The punishment is adding strength to you. So going extra mile is only adding knowledge, adding understanding to you, and that makes you better. So for the lecturer that refuses to change, that is challenging you, well, that's an issue. That's a problem you have to, that's a cross you carry. But it makes you better. At the end of the day, on the long run, it makes you better. And I bet you, after a while too, some lecturers will come and tell you, oh, this guy was always ahead of his class. When you hear things like he's ahead of his class, those are the kind of scenarios that leads to that.
Well, I was expecting, when we spoke about diversification the other time, I was expecting to hear you say more teachers should start writing books, and more teachers should start doing more of like an entrepreneurial kind of teaching, where you can do audiobooks and do all of this, because the world is going global. Or you're not seeing it in this light that Nigerians can do this, fuse in technology to marketing themselves.
Now, teachers can do, and I think some of them are already doing it. I'll start with one. In the last 10 years, you will notice that a lot of our children can't speak their mother tongue.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, they can't speak their mother tongue. Now, that is a window of opportunity for teachers. And I've found quite a number of young teachers who are already doing that online. They tell you, in 90 days, your child will begin to speak Hausa fluently. In 6 months, your child will speak Yoruba fluently. And everything is online. You pay them, they schedule a time for you. 1 hour, most cases 1 hour, 7 to 8 p.m., some 9 to 10 p.m., some 6 to 7 p.m. 1 hour, they are online. Your child connects with them on Zoom or whichever media platform they want to use, and they begin to teach them. And in 6 months, that's one of the things that happened during COVID. There's a guy who, when people were complaining about COVID, he was saying, oh, he has a testimony. COVID was a nice time for him. It was a major changer in his life. What was he doing? He was training children how to speak in Yoruba language, and he had more clients in the US and UK than Nigeria. I'm telling you, during COVID. And he got to a point he had to resign from the school. He said, look, my online classes, I'm struggling to meet up with the demands. There were people from the UK, there were people from the US who had children. He had scheduled time, of course, the time in US. So some lessons happen in the late night, some happen early hours of the morning, some happen in the afternoon. And he was earning his money in dollars. He said, look, no tax, nothing, the money just comes into my account. So that's one of them. Audiobooks, creating courses. We have issues with etiquette. Some of our children, they are not good with that. Some of the children will just walk past you, they don't know how to greet, and all of those cultural sensitivity. A teacher can pick up that and say, look, let me begin to talk to children between the age of 5 and 10 about etiquette, what they should do. When you see an elder, what should you do? When you get into a school, if you go for dinner, how should you behave, all those things. Those are courses that teachers will take. People will pay. What about music? Rudiment of music. There are a lot of our children who like music. What about having a football academy? Now, very soon, children will be done with third time. They are going to be home for over three months or thereabouts. You mean disturbing the home for 3 months? Yes, disturbing the home for 3 months, eating your food and making you to spend more. A lot of parents, it can be a very challenging time because they are thinking in their head that, so how do I engage these children? Those are big opportunities for teachers. You are a music teacher, those are big opportunities for you. Those 3 months they are going to be home, you can take them music lesson. You can take courses on languages. You can teach them how to what you should do on social media. A lot of things. You can teach them homemaking. Homemaking. Homemaking, especially if you're a teacher that talks about home economics, you can have 3 months lesson. All of those periods with their alone day, rather than playing at home, you engage them in the morning, you engage them, and the parents will be happy. And if you have a large space in your house, you can tell the parents, especially for those who live in estates where there are schools, you can create a small place in your parlor or maybe somewhere around your house, and you have 10 students in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, 10 in the evening. You are taking them those courses. Their parents will pay. A lot of parents are working class parents. They don't even have time to be at home. And some are even scared of bringing house girl or house boy into their house. So there's quite a number of opportunities for teachers. Teachers don't really have to complain. For me, I think there's a deduction of salary that the federal government announced recently, and there's a lot of complaint. If you have diversified, whatever is deducted from your salary, where you will talk about it, but it won't be something that will pain you to your heart, like wanting to fight the government, because you have learned to diversify. There are quite a number of numerous opportunities for teachers, especially with digital platforms. That is enough to engage them without having to complain about
other industry players right now watching us are saying while we're talking about teachers also. So permit me for the next couple of seconds before I let you go. Can other players in other industries also diversify?
Yes. Like I said, somebody who is a banker can also be a baker, can be an event manager. Within your value chain. For somebody who is a pediatric doctor, for instance, you see children every day, mothers come with their children. You know, one of the concerns of mother is the feeding of their children, the diaper, the cream, some of those sensitive things. As a medically oriented person, you can educate them on, look, these are the kind of, at this age, these are the kind of diaper you should buy, these are the creams you will buy. And you can go further to make it available. You don't have to walk out of the hospital. They just need to pay, and you get a rider to deliver the cream, baby cream, to them. So, like I'm saying, everything, whatever industry you have, just look within your value chain. There's something you can do extra, and you will do it easily without you having to stop your main hustle. The most important thing is, you see, if you don't wake up to think about what you can do extra, you are probably going to live the rest of your life taking orders from people to do what they should have done extra, and they will get the money, not you. So you need to do something.
Well, we need to do something before something do you, like they used to put in local palace. So I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel, for being a part of the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is how far we can go right now, even on the show. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, more conversation on the desk. Please go nowhere. The desk continues in a moment.